my soul. Praise my God of love and life. So sings my soul.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you here. It's Sunday. It's that last Sunday of January. And it's the day we choose to celebrate Ernest Holmes's birthday. You know, every so often, Ernest Holmes's birthday occurs on the same Sunday, near the same Sunday of Martin Luther King's day. And it's hard to do justice to both of them on one day. And since Martin Luther King's Day is a national kind of holiday, it would be silly to do it a week later. But Ernest Holmes is our own father Holmes, so to speak. And so we can postpone his to a day like this. So I want to welcome all of you, and those joining us on multimedia, I want to welcome all of you to this wonderful day. A day of miracles here at Founders and in Los Angeles. Why? Because it's raining. It's raining, yes. After all that fire, now we can go and take a shower. No, it's the mysteries of the world, and you know, we're here to celebrate that. We're here to celebrate the mysteries of the world, mystery of God. And so, you know, I think Reverend Dan is going to be up here with me. Here he is. Good. And we have Jennifer Wallace, and we have Rob Warshner over on this side. And just give him a little applause here. Yeah. And, of course, our wonderful Reverend Dan is here. He's here all the time. It's just that he's so busy downstairs, it's hard for him to come in here at times. So thank you for that. And I don't always know who is upstairs, but I know Pat Gentry is there, and Denara Crosley should be there, and Dominic Beltran. Good morning. See? Dominic is there, and his good morning is for everyone who is up there, so that it's kind of like the voice of God permeating the space here, and that's wonderful. So we're going to be here celebrating this wonderful day of rain, and it's amazing that, you know, when I put together what the topics are for our talk, I certainly don't anticipate the wildfire and all these things happening to us. So today, we're going to talk about happiness. And he said, gee, how can you talk about happiness when there's so much to be sad about? Well, we're going to find that out too. So again, welcome. Glad you're here. And let's have a wonderful service. Yes? Yes. Okay. Jennifer, you want to come help me out here?
So please stand as you are able and join us in the congregational song. I said a prayer for you today, a simple prayer I often pray, a prayer I always like to say. honors you, and may all your dreams come true. I said a prayer for you today.
That's the lovely Jennifer Wallace. Thank you. Accompanied by the wonderful Rob Weishner, extraordinary. He's like an orchestra on a piano. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome to Founders. We are here at the geographic and spiritual heart of the city and county of Angels. We're so glad that you are here, and if you're joining us online or watching the recording, you are here with us because we are all one in space and time, because there is just one mind, one heart, and one body in this universe of God. It's raining today. Yay. And we are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. I've never seen Los Angelinos so grateful and smiling for the rain. Yay. It's like an answered prayer, which is a great transition to prayer. So we have Holding the High Watch, and would you mind holding the High Watch today, this morning for service? She will be holding vigil, which means she will be in prayer and meditation through the service, anchoring us with the divine, and she'll be available at the practitioner's table after the service if you need a prayer, if you need someone to speak and know the divine truth about you. We also have prayer boxes in the foyer where you can write an answered prayer. You can also call our prayer line and leave a message. You can also email and go to our website and send us a prayer. And we, the practitioners, will hold you in consciousness for 30 days and just see what prayer can do. Today we are celebrating the birthday of Ernest Holmes, and the song that we just sang, those lyrics are from those are the words of Ernest Holmes. You know, Ernest Holmes, our founder, was a great man, and he came from very humble origins. God loves taking people from humility and doing great things for them. So just keep that in mind if you think that somehow, what can I do? So moving forward, some few more announcements. We have meditation every Sunday morning at 9:30 here in the sanctuary. At 9:20, we invite everybody to please gather in the foyer who's here, if you're being of service at church, to just do an opening prayer, if you're being of service, to kind of kick off and anchor the Founder's vibration. We also, the Mystic Circle Wednesday night Zoom service is temporarily on hiatus, but I have a Sunday evening visioning meditation where we vision, we anchor the divine vision for your life. It's a perfect meditation. If you need divine guidance, if you need something, without vision, people perish. So if you need to know your soul vision, what your own inner divinity is calling you to do, to be, to live, join us tonight. You can email me. You can connect with me online. There is, I think it's actually the Zoom is in your program on the back. We would love to see you. And that's every Sunday night at 6 o'clock Pacific time on Zoom. Also, starting this Thursday, I am teaching a Science of Mind class called Building a Healing Consciousness. Some of you may think that what's happening in the outside world is chaos, destruction. What if I told you that it's actually a process of healing? What if I told you that wholeness is, and that everything in the world of effect is still part of the one law? That's a sneak preview, by the way. So, that's trying to encourage you to come. If you've had foundation class, come. If you're a practitioner and would like to audit and just want a reinvigoration, come. And if you have any questions and just want to know more, reach out to me, and we'd be happy to have you. That'll be Thursday nights, 7 o'clock on Zoom, so you can attend from anywhere. Next, Lauren Grant, the amazing Lauren Grant, is having her in-person sound healing in Armor Lounge every Saturday at noon. If you've never had sound healing, please treat yourself. You know, this is the year healing. I keep thinking coming up that 2025 is the year of healing. It's the year of revealing. Practitioner, president of our Practitioner Association, Debbie Gale. Debbie, wave right there. Her Ideal Scene workshop is resuming on the third Sunday of the month, beginning February 16th. You feel free to ask her what that means. Ideal scene? Wow, that sounds amazing. I would love an ideal scene. Also, we're just so glad you're here. We invite you to come down to Armor Lounge after service. Get to know us. We're wonderful people. Get to know the Spanish church. They're wonderful people. We are one church, one heart, one city. And, you know, if you're joining us and you're not in Los Angeles, please come the next time you're here and visit us. We would love to know you and get to and introduce you to founders. This is an exciting, wonderful, amazing place. And on that note, are there any first-time visitors here? Okay, well, we're all family. So I invite you to stand and greet each other. Please remain standing, and thank you, Rob. I have a very soft spot for Burt Bacharach. That's great. That's wonderful. All right, we're going to do the affirmation that is on the front of your bulletin, so please say along with me. I am confident, happy, and optimistic. I give only good and expect good to return to me 1,000-fold. And so it is.
You can tell I'm excited about the rain. I have on rain boots. Yay! I'm so happy. So I get to have the honor of talking about Ernest Holmes. And I just want to say before I begin is that, you know, I've been in this movement for 40 years. I know Ernest Holmes. I know who he is and what he is. But the opportunity to dive deeper into his life was such a blessing that I would like to share what I found out with you. First of all, Holmes was born January 21st, 1887, in Lincoln, Maine, to a very poor family. He was the youngest of 9 sons. His mother was a school teacher, and his father was a self-educated farmer. He was raised a Baptist, but his parents believed in the goodness of God, did not believe in a personal devil, and urged all their children to come to religion with questioning minds. And reading some of the information about Ernest Holmes, when his family went to church and one of the ministers did a hell and brimstone kind of a sermon, the father turned to the children and said, "You are not worms and of the dirt and dust. You are not that. You are, God would not do that for you. You are made of God." So that is his background. Ernest Holmes was born in poverty. Hard economic times continued most of his early life. His father did not do well at farming or attempting to raise sheep. Their farm had to be mortgaged. Later, when the bank foreclosed, the family moved to an abandoned farmhouse, beginning a nomadic life, which lasted for several years. During this period, some of the boys, including Ernest, stayed with various relatives. Eventually, Ernest's father landed a job at a logging camp, and the family was reunited. However, after the time the family moved from the farm, Ernest never celebrated 2 birthdays in the same house. And even before he learned to read, he acquired the skill of repeating passages almost word for word, after hearing them read only once. They didn't have a lot of books in their house, and their mother used to read to them every night from the Bible and from other books. And he remembered that as an early child. And Holmes received little formal schooling after his early teen years and was largely self-educated. He left school and his family in Maine for Boston at the age of 15. And Holmes' reading of Ralph Waldo Emerson's essays at 20 years old in 1907 marked the turning point in his life. He accepted self-reliance as his guide. At the same time, a long-term throat ailment healed after he applied those learnings from Emerson. And so from Emerson, Holmes embodied these three ideas. We are our own spiritual authority. There is a God-like essence in every person. There is some kind of connection between our thoughts and what happens to us. The next year, he studied public speaking at the Leland Powers School of Expression to prepare for a career on the Chautauqua circuits. Now, you've got to know, back then in the early 1920s, 1919s, there was no TV. So this circuit was a way where people came to listen to lectures and to listen. It was like adult ed and how you learned new things. It was a big deal during that time. Now, one of the teachers at this school spoke at the Christian Science Church, and so he went to go see her because she was one of his instructors. And he also began attending the Christian Science Mother Church in Boston and performed his first mental healings. Holmes' system, by placing greatest emphasis on the concept of the mind as an operative healing agency, was a modification to the theistic Christian Science approach. In 1912, at 25 years old, Holmes joined his mother and his brother Fenwick in Venice, California. Shortly after arriving, he abandoned his career as a public speaker and began assisting his brother's congregational church while he worked as the city's playground director for schools and purchasing manager. And in 1914, he encountered the work of the English New Thought pioneer, Thomas Troward. That same year, the brothers took a correspondence course offered by New Thought author and lecturer Christian D. Larson. In 1915, at 28 years old, Holmes gave his first lecture on mental healing. And what I want to tell you about that was when he worked for the schools and the purchasing agent, he would have books on his desk that he was reading. And sometimes this man came in and borrowed some of his books and read them. And then he and Ernest would discuss them. And the man said, why don't you come to my home and discuss this with some friends that are gathering. And that became his speaking engagement. And in 1915, at 28 years old, Holmes gave his first lecture on mental healing. And a year later, he and Fenwick started a mental healing periodical called Uplift. Holmes immediately attracted clients. And like some other mental healing practitioners, he never hesitated to charge for his treatments, at first requesting payment in gold pieces. That's something I never knew. But there you go. In 1917, the brothers opened a mental healing sanitarium in Long Beach and in Los Angeles in the Southern California and Metaphysical Institute. In 1917, the brothers began Sunday morning lectures at the Strand Theater in Los Angeles. The work blossomed until the Institute was soon attracting students and clients from across the country. In 1919, the brothers turned to publishing, each writing an important New Thought text. Creative Mind by Ernest, and The Law of Mind and Action by Fenwick. In the early 1920s, they went on a successful lecture tour of the East Coast cities. Although the lectures were free, courses sometimes cost as much as $25, but that was a lot of money during that time. Yet some courses had as many as 1,000 attendants. In 1925, on friendly terms, the brothers ended their professional relationship. Fenwick went east, while Ernest settled in Los Angeles, where 2 years later he had begun lecturing at the Philharmonic Theater. During 1924, Holmes had traveled to New York City to study with Emma Curtis Hopkins, founder of New Thought movement. Although his studies lasted for less than a year, Hopkins' impact on the development of his religious work was significant. His mature thought and the mental healing system he developed were based on his study of New Thought authors, especially Troward, Hudson, Larson, and Ralph Waldo Trine. According to his brother Fenwick, after Ernest spent a year studying with Ms. Hopkins, all of the foundations for his life work was now present. He learned of the transcendent majesty of God and the warmth of spirit from Emerson. He learned of the immanence of ever-present God and the impersonal law from Troward. He distinguished between psychological and made contact with the mystical with the help of Emma Curtis Hopkins. And he had a rare gift and a raw talent from God to help individuals wake up to their divinity. Holmes' great work, The Science of Mind textbook, was published in 1926. And the following year, he launched what would become the religious science movement when he founded the Institute of Religious Science and School of Philosophy. His study with Hopkins likely inspired the establishment of the Institute, which would later become the Church of Religious Science. After founding the Institute, Holmes reportedly struggled against increasing pressure to develop an actual religion around his teachings and the Institute's work. He did not see this as a religion. He saw this as a teaching that went out to everyone, everywhere. But he was unsuccessful. And in 1939, the ordination of religious science ministers began. And by the mid-1940s, religious science churches were established. At the time of his death in 1960 in Los Angeles, religious science had become the second, only to unity, largest denomination of the New Thought movement. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Ernest, for all that you brought to our movement and to us here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Debbie. One item that I personally find of interest that was not mentioned was actually Ernest Holmes' wife. Her name was Hazel. They married in 1927, and she had trained in Paris as an opera singer. And that is, marrying an opera singer, just ask my husband, it's a very brave thing to do. But he also developed an appreciation for the art form, so.
Vondare in porta
That was beautiful, Jennifer. You know, she can sing not only opera, we've heard her sing the blues, disco, country, whatever we ask her to sing, she does it. So thank you. So we're going to have our readings, and the first one is from Romans. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to his purpose. And from the Science of Mind textbook, practice is a definite statement in mind, a positive affirmation. It is an active, conscious, aggressive mental movement, and in such degree as it embodies an idea, there is no longer anything in our minds which denies the idea. It will take form, because it now becomes a part of the law and order of the universe in which we live. Now, would you all please join me in the Lord's Prayer, and we will say it affirmatively. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
You're the heart of my contentment, hope for all I do. My God, you're the center of my joy.
And so what I note is that this service is a perfect, whole, and complete idea in the mind of God. I speak this word for Reverend Arthur, that Dr. Arthur is a perfect, whole, and complete channel of pure spirit, and pure divine wisdom comes through him today, with laughter, with joy, with zeal, and we are open and receptive to hear it. I know that everyone shows up in service today with love and expansiveness, and that this is a time of healing and revealing, and that whenever we see or hear this service in person or online, it is at the perfect moment, and we are all one, for the kingdom of heaven is always at hand, right here, right now. And we give thanks to know this word, to speak this truth, and to allow it to be. And so it is.
Open my eyes that I may see fullness of truth thou hast for me. Place in my hands that wonderful key that shall unclasp and set me free. Silently now I wait for thee. Ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my eyes, illumine me, Spirit divine. I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, someone will come the storm, the smallest prayer will still be heard. I believe that someone in the great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. And every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. Then I know why I believe.
Jennifer Wallace. Wow. Wow. What a wonderful treat this morning that we have from Jennifer and Rob Warshna, and from Debbie and from Reverend Dan. Thank you so much. We're coming to the end of the month, or we are just about there, as we celebrate Ernest Holmes's birthday, which we have heard is the 21st of January. It's from 1887. It's a long time ago, isn't it? And what is interesting is how you see somebody who were not born in the greatest of circumstance rise up to a height that seems impossible. You know, we think about Jesus, and we think about the prophecy and the birth and all that came with it. At least that's the way the disciples or the gospel writers who wrote about Jesus put it together. But most of us don't come with all that wonderful bugle blowing and wise men seeking us and bringing gifts and all that. But I think if you look more deeply into these stories, you'll realize that what they're trying to underscore for you is that there is something very special in everybody's birth, in your birth, everyone's birth, something very special. It may not be the way the gospel begin to feature it artistically, dramatically. They were perhaps the great producers and directors of movies back in the day, at least in words. But the underlying principle is to understand that there is a practice that comes out of each one of us as we move forward that is really important in what we do. And I want to contend this morning that happiness is not just a state that you arrive at. It's really a practice. It's just a practice. It's something that you engage in. It's something that you decide that, you know, yes, psychologists tell us there are very definite things that need to happen in your life for you to be happy. But I am suggesting it might be simpler than that. I'm suggesting that the idea is for you to develop this attitude of gratitude, this feeling of calmness about yourself, that despite what is happening or not happening, there is what we call equanimity. Happiness is not simply the kind of things you feel at parties. Yes, we're drinking, I suppose, if you drink. I don't drink, so that's all right. And if you're having a good time, you're having conversation, that's kind of a happy, ha-ha way of going about it. But there is a deeper soul aspect to it. A soul aspect to it that makes you know that you're connected to something greater than you are. And you could see in the story that Debbie is telling us about Ernest Holmes, that little statements that were made to little Holmes, little Ernest, when he was just beginning to understand things like the devil and Satan and all these things, made an impact on him and made him practice a way of being in the world that continued to move him, or Ernest Holmes would say, to move along that upward spiral, upward and onward. And it's a practice. It's not simply just God has singled you out and then everything is A-OK after that. It is what you do. It is what you think, it is what you say. It is how you are in the world. So I want to suggest to you that happiness is not a result. Happiness is a practice. It is not something you, after years of toiling, you finally get it like retirement. That's not quite what happiness is. It's a way of being in the world. And it's really important to know this when we have the tremendous tragedy that we have had with the wildfire burning people out, leaving absolutely nothing but ashes where their homes once stood. And the homes once represented such important meanings, soul-like meanings. It's where their heart and soul goes to connect and reconnect with themselves, whether they do it well or not. That's what happens. And the soul loves what is familiar. You go home and you kick your shoes off and you put your slipper on, and there's something about the familiarity of your space that is yours. And it's all gone. It's all gone. And here comes this fire. And you say, well, how can God allow something like this to happen? And it's not a matter of God allowing or not allowing. We live in a world that has its own laws and its own regulations. And it's going to behave the way it behaves. And we contribute to somehow some of that behavior when it is kind of a seeming unbalanced to us. We contributed by the way we use energy, by the way we take care of the planet. We contribute to it too. But besides that, the world is the way the world is. And what we have is the freedom and the intelligence and the mind to adapt, to make adjustments. We have earthquakes in California, so we don't design our buildings without understanding that structurally they need to know how to withstand the movement of the earth during earthquakes. Cecile and I were just wondering, why is it that we were awakened, 2 days ago, by this jolt, this earthquake. And then when we got up, we never saw a hint of it on television, on radio. Did you all feel earthquake you did? Thank God. You're the first ones that I have seen that said there was one. I haven't seen or heard, hide or hear of it anywhere else except Debbie, thank you. And I think a couple of you others say that there was. But let's take a look at this business. You know, psychology tells us that happiness is an emotion. It's usually contingent on something. I want to suggest to you, don't make your happiness be contingent on anything. Realize that there is a sufficiency within you. That's what Jesus talked about when he said the kingdom of God is within you. There's a sufficiency within you. The life that is the life of the world is within you, not just the light of the world. You are the light of the world because you're the intelligence of the world. You're the world becoming conscious of itself. That's what we are. The world becoming conscious of itself. And we bring this consciousness to bear not just on things we want, but things that work for all of us together. And so when an engineer learns to design a house or a building that can take a certain amount of shaking without falling over, which used to happen in the old days, it is for all of us. And all the things that we do, even the things we do for ourselves, if there is enough love, we will do it for everyone. We'll do it for ourselves as we are doing it for everyone. And that's how we make a better community. And so, happiness is something that is there within you. And this is really what Paul refers to as the peace that passes all understanding. The happiness is something within you, not that you're going around laughing all the time. That's not what I'm talking about. It's the feeling of peace, the feeling of tranquility, the feeling of somehow, despite what is happening or is not happening, there's a center within you that is responding to you, that is just right in you. You know, it is that kingdom aspect of it. And you live with an awareness that there's power in it. There are things that are happening. I told you about my sister-in-law. And this is the one, well, I know two persons. Her daughter also had her house burned down. But can you imagine, you get a call to leave your home immediately, and you take whatever you could and you leave. And you think you're going to go back after it blows over. And she thought she was going to go to her daughter's home, who is also in Altadena. And she found out on her way that her daughter got the same message to leave home. And they were all burned out. And what saved her here is that she had a friend that she walks with. It's a doctor friend that she had worked with. She was invited, she and her husband and her handicapped son. And her husband is suffering from dementia, probably Alzheimer's. And she took them all, three of them, in. And of course, you're distraught. Everything is burned out. And at this point, you're not even thinking, as in religious science we might think, that, I have my life. Everything is gone, but I have my life. And then you kind of know what's important. Because in her case, she's not just thinking about her life. She's taking care of her husband who can't take care of himself anymore. She's taking care of a handicapped son that isn't capable of taking care of himself. So it's not just, I have my life, I feel happy. She's thinking about the lives of the people she has to take care of. And so she lives. And when you live with somebody, no matter how kind and sweet that person is, it's a different thing from living with yourself and by yourself. And the good thing is, she wanted a certain kind of place to go to. But her grandson was a friend of somebody who we went to college with. And somehow, I don't know this part of the argument, his parents found out what happened to his grandmother. And they have a house that wasn't occupied, that is fully furnished. And they invited them to come and live in the house for a couple of weeks. And she's still thinking of what she wants. When Cecile and I talked to her, I said, well, ask them whether they'll rent you the house you're living in right now. There are a few things that don't work because the bedrooms are upstairs and the husband can't go upstairs and this and that. Yes, there's always that. But what I'm saying is, as I told you all the time, God is always putting options before you. God is forever putting options before you. Whether you're praying or not praying, the praying allows you to see the options. Praying focuses you so that you can understand that God is in a relationship with all of us and is putting options. Now, God does not control the fire. These are laws of nature working out itself. God doesn't control the drought. Of course, we should still pray for rain. We would love to have had the rain 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. But here it is now. We still thank God for it. Why? Because we're working with how things are. We don't make things. We have to work with the law. Ernest Holmes says you must work with the law. Of course, there's a lot you can do with you inside. And you still pray for an outcome so that you can find your way. But it doesn't necessarily happen instantaneously. It happens over time. And it's happening in time as it's happening for my sister-in-law. So hopefully she will understand, don't keep just looking for a specific way of being in the world. Look at what is available to you right now. And then settle with that for now. And then you can go ahead and start doing that. Because sometimes, you know, Ernest Holmes says, don't outline when you treat. When you pray for something, don't say it has to come to you this way and it has to look this way. And pray for what you have, you want. And then open your eyes to see, because sometimes it's right there in front of you and you can't see it. So when I look back on phrases like Isaiah 61:10, when he says, I will rejoice greatly in the Lord, my soul will exalt in my God. For he has clothed me with the garments of salvation. What he's looking at is his relationship to God. He's feeling why he's going to be happy in God. I will rejoice. I'm going to be happy in God. And he goes on to say, he has wrapped me with a robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decks himself with a garland, and a bride adorns herself with her jewels. Makes me look very successful and expectant about the next step I'm going to make. And this is really something that we need not lose. And when we combine that with Ernest Holmes says, change your thinking, change your life, you're seeing how all these people have been doing that. When we see people like William James says, one of the greatest discoveries of my generation is that a human can alter his life by altering his mind. There is something in common that all these people had that allowed them to face the catastrophes of life. When we come here and we sing the world is a wonderful world, it doesn't mean that there's no catastrophe in it, that there's no tragedy in it, that we're not going to be sad sometimes. It means that we don't stay there. It means that we find a way to keep ourselves in a certain level of equanimity. We can go up and down a little, but not all the way down and all the way up. It's the middle path. Buddha says, walk the middle path. In Greek mythology, Icarus and Daedalus, we see again, don't fly too high, don't fly too low, when the craftsman made wings for his son. And when the son didn't obey and went too high, the sun, the S-U-N, burned the wings up to S-O-N, and he fell to his death. So what we need to understand is that spirituality is that which puts us on a platform of clarity and coherence, where we can come together and begin to figure out what's the best way, and we can do the prayer work for what we want, but open our eyes to what appears before us. Sometimes what you want is not going to happen as the next thing. It's the next step you have to make toward what you want. Because when you were born, you didn't born one day, and by the next day you're a fully grown adult, knowing everything that you know. It was a process, wasn't it? And sometimes when you find yourself sick, it's a process. Life is exactly that, because life is constantly changing. And changes don't always have to be for the better, but we can adjust ourselves so that they can be for the better. So Paul said some really interesting things. Let me see if I can find it. When he says, what did he say? He said, for example, which is very Ernest Holmes' science of mind in inclination here. He says in Philippians 4:8, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. So what we're saying is we have to find a way to balance. When the earthquake comes, what the engineer does, he finds a way to get the building to move a certain amount and balance itself so that it does not just get thrown off and fall over. And when the catastrophes come in our lives, the fires, the earthquakes, the tragedy of losing, a relative, my nephew just in New Jersey, there was a funeral service for him just last Saturday. And so things are happening all the time. Some things that are not happy things. But happiness doesn't necessarily mean you go around laughing at a joke or giving a joke. It means that you've found that platform of equanimity. So no matter how they rock the boat, you find a way to keep your footing. And you find a way to do it because what you need is within you. It's God. What you need is within you. And that's the whole message of Jesus, that the kingdom of God is within you. It's neither low near nor low there. It's everywhere, yes. But what he wants you to know is you're not looking for it outside yourself, even though it is outside yourself. You don't have to go there. It's close on your skin. It's near on your breath. You need to just look within, turn within, and realize that all the peace, all the love, all the solution is in there. And you start there. And you start by calming yourself, by praying and bringing yourself down with a sense of peace, a sense of optimism. Things are going to happen in your life no matter how spiritually you live. Things are going to happen. But you have that optimism that whatever can happen in your life, there's something within you that knows how to treat it. So it's a health problem. And sometimes it's a health problem that you pray on and it doesn't cure itself. Still pray on it. Still pray on it. But pray on it and continue with the process of healing the best way you know. Continue with that. It's not a matter of you pray and then you just ignore everything that's around you. Because God made everything around you. And God made the insight of doctors and chemists and all these people. It's all part and parcel of the allness that God is. And so we include them. We include them. But remember, the central thing is the mind. You must understand that it is the mind that starts everything. So give yourself the best chance of knowing that good and good alone goes from you, and good alone will return to you. And my friends, when you begin to do that, you will find that all the other things that you need to bring about happiness, and what you need is relationship. You need to be connected with each other. You need to make your relationship sacred, and especially the ones at home. But then don't stop at home. Start at home and make it keep going out like a concentric circle of a pebble dropped in a pond. Bring that to it. You need to understand that emotions are things you can control to a great extent. So you feel sad about something, it's appropriate? Yes, that's fine. But don't keep going deeper and deeper into sadness. Go to where it's appropriate. Yes, we're all sad about the people who have lost things. But what's going to get them back is all of us help. Whether we contribute money or prayer, however it is that it is in your power to do, we all help. That's what's going to bring them back and bring them back into houses, thousands of people who have lost their homes. So these are things that we need to do. We need to understand that the practice that we have, our meditation, our prayer, our kindnesses with each other, our smiles at people, the admiration that you have for flowers and trees and plants and pets, and the feeling that you have when you begin to exercise your body and realize that it is part of the happiness that you feel. You don't exercise your body, you're inviting company within your body that you don't want. They're called diseases. Exercise your body. Eat right. These are all a practice of happiness. Happiness is not just that, gee, I won the lotto. Yes, you'll feel great for a little while, but sooner or later you'll get used to it. And if you overeat, overspend, overdrink, and over everything, it will be over sooner than you think. Your life is here for you to find that joy of living. Same word as happiness. And you can find it, but you need to understand that you need to claim every single moment of your life if you're going to be happy. And this business of anxiety, don't bring it on by keep thinking of the worst things that can happen. Always replace that with the best things that can happen. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, and I love the fact that he didn't say perfect. I'm not a perfect man. I'm not a man about perfection, because perfection means something that doesn't change. And life, in this life, everything changes. So it's about excellence. I love the fact that Paul used the word excellent or praiseworthy. Think about these things. And my friends, let us understand that this business of happiness is not a destination. It's a practice. Practice it, and you'll be happy for the rest of your life. God bless. Thank you. All right, this is our sharing time. And we're going to ask you to stand to sing the doxology. And you at home, if you want to stand and sing the doxology with us, that's fine. We love it. This is what we call a participatory universe. And you're participating, even if you're away from here, you're participating. And we love you and we love it. So we're going to sing the doxology right now. But
Praise God that good is everywhere. Praise to the love we all may share. The life that thrills in you and me. Praise to the truth that sets us free. Amen.
And I want to let you know that last week I was so smart, I put the affirmation right under my ear, so this week I could fish it out and get it. Not there. Is here?
Right there.
Where?
Is this it?
Is that it?
I think so. That's it.
It is here. It just takes somebody with eyes and can read. And those of you who are joining us online, we need your support, okay? So you see, what's that thing called? What's that square thing? You see that QR code, that little square thing? You take a picture of it and contribute to the founders. We need your support. Okay, and here's how we do this. You'll say after me, I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. With joy I release my gift. So we're happy about it now, okay? We're not giving to take back. We're happy to see it go. Knowing that it goes forth to bless and to prosper. All those who give and all those who receive. And so it is. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Jennifer.
Such a feeling coming over me. There is wonder in most everything I see. Not a cloud in the sky, got the sun in my eyes, and I won't be surprised if it's a dream. Everything I want the world to be is now coming true, especially for me. And the reason is clear, it's because you are here. You're the nearest thing to heaven that I see. I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I found ever since you've been around. Your love puts me at the top of the world. Something in the wind has learned my name, and it's telling me that things are not the same. In the leaves on the trees and the touch of the breeze, there's a pleasing sense of happiness for me. There is only one wish on my mind. When this day is through, I hope that I will find that tomorrow will be just the same for you and me. All I need will be mine if you are here. I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I found ever since you've been around. Your love puts me at the top of the world. I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I found ever since you've been around. Your love puts me at the top of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are terrific. I tell you, Jennifer does select some really wonderful songs for the service every week. Thank you, Jennifer. We realize that. And of course, that song that you sang earlier on is one of my favorite songs, as you know. O mio bambino caro. Oh, that Puccini shows so much promise. One of these days he's going to turn into a great composer. Well, we're all ready to wind up. And those of you who can come downstairs, please come downstairs. You know, this connection is not something that is arbitrary if you can make it. If you can't make it, it's fine. There's no forcing to it. But if you can, come spend a little time downstairs, okay? We got some good food down there, and you'll enjoy yourself. So let's take a moment right now to turn within. And to turn within that sacred place, that immovable spot, the axis mundi within us. There is that kingdom of God. the kingdom of peace, the kingdom of love, the kingdom of kindness, the kingdom of solutions to all our problems. And so when we turn to it, it turns to us, respondingly to us, because we are in a relationship to it. And we can only take from it what we will. It can only give us what we're willing to take. And so let's right now take this rain to put out a fire for all these people who are tremendously challenged by it. But also to put out a fire of anxiety in each one of them, so that they will find shelter. Shelter not only for their bodies and their families, but for their souls. Shelter, by which I mean the sense of equanimity, of calmness, of hopefulness. For they know right here and right now that even in the greatest plight, something is already moving within them. Something is forming a solution for them. And it starts from that inner belief that this can happen. And then it finds itself expressing in and through all that need to make it happen. Because God is in everyone. So we bless them richly right now. We bless all the first responders, giving them thanks for what it is that they do so selflessly and for so long. We bless them richly. And we bless all of us for the gratitude that we have who are still sheltered and can help. For we know that wherever there's gratitude, there cannot be depression. So let us actively live in the gratitude that despite all that has gone wrong, there is more that is going that is right. So let's think on what is pure, what is noble, what is of good report, what is excellent. And let us bless our church, knowing that there is a force here that will allow it not only to survive, but to flourish, to thrive, as it once did. We're knowing that this is the truth about us here. And we bless our country and our world, that our governments throughout the world will find peace and kindness and consideration and a sense of responsibility, not only to the peoples, but to the planet and to the creatures of the planet. We speak a word of blessing for all, because we are a wholeness. And so I give thanks that this word is spoken and goes forth to accomplish what it must, and will not return to me void. I know it's done in mind, and it's being done in fact. And I give thanks for it, and so it is. Please stand for the benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace, the peace that passes all understanding, and so it is.